Hey, what's going on? It's Jason Lucchese and welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you are brand new, make sure you become a subscriber. We would love to have you part of our database so that you can get notified of brand new videos just like this. If you are returning as a subscriber, thank you so much for being part of the channel. Today, Mr. Michael Bretthauer and I are going to be discussing something very cool with you. Mike, how you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm doing real well, folks. Glad to be on the channel, and we are going to be discussing something that's really cool and something that we get asked about all the time.
Yeah, and you know what? That is due diligence on properties, and we're going to go through what we do, and it's going to save you thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars over your real estate career so that you don't waste time. Time is one of the most precious things that you can never buy more of. So one of the first things that we're going to talk about here today, and make sure you stay on until the very end, we've got a very special surprise for you. And Mike doesn't even know about it, right, Mike?
Never know about the surprises. And let's not fail to mention that the tens of thousands of dollars that you're going to save it's not just rehab costs. It's deals you could potentially lose because you don't know how to do due diligence correctly.
Right. So let's just hop into the first thing here right off the bat. First thing right off the bat is you've got this property. You've got this property that you're going to take a look at. It's not under contract yet. That's the most important part. Don't put things under contract until you are 100% certain, especially from a real estate wholesaling standpoint. You can get it quickly turned to one of your buyers. So one of the things that Mike and I always do is we take a look at it on Google. So we're going to take a look at the street view, the aerial view, and we just want to take a look at the general neighborhood as well. So Mike, why don't you kind of explain why that's so important?
You know, sometimes you can go look up a property and you'll think you'll have a bit of information and you'll go on Google and you'll find out that the property doesn't even exist.
That is true. Sometimes it's just an empty lot. Maybe it was demolished for a reason that the city wanted to just have that property gone. So that's another important fact.
But it allows you to be pretty much anywhere in the world you need to be, not just for looking at that specific property, but walking around the neighborhood.
That is true, especially if it's like a questionable neighborhood and you're not sure, like, hey, do I need to go there and, have my concealed weapon with me? I don't want to get jumped and mugged. So one of the things that we also look at too, when we're looking at the street view, the aerial view, is we look at the neighborhood. First of all, is it a neighborhood that our cash buyers are wanting to, purchase properties in? We take a look at our property, obviously. If it's still there, right, Mike? If it's still there, we want to look at the properties on the street. Are the properties boarded up? Like if the houses along the area are boarded up, then that's probably not going to be a good deal. But what else do we look at when we're doing this, Mike?
Once we're looking at the style of the property, Google Maps. If it's not on Zillow, a lot of times Zillow will pull in the Google Map image. It allows you to take a look at what the property looks like. So when you're comping out your houses, one of the first things I look at is, what does the front of the house look like? Does it have a balcony? Is it a 2-story? Is it made of brick? Does it have siding? What is this? Is it a ranch? What is the style of this house? So I know first what to start comparing it to.
No, that's really crucial right there. That is a top tip that you should definitely stow away and make sure that you know that, because that's going to be huge, especially when you're running comps. So I don't care if you're a realtor or not. If you don't have a license, not a big deal. What we do next at that point is we'll take a look at it on either Zillow, Redfin. If you've got access to the MLS, that's obviously great. But next, what we start doing is we want to look at properties that have sold within a short period of time. Typically, it's going to be 3 to 6 months, and that is going to vary on where you live. If you're in a very higher area, as far as there's more houses, you're in a bigger metropolitan area, then you're going to probably want to shorten that to probably 30 to 90 days from a standpoint. But Mike, let's kind of explain why that's important. You touched on, we need to know like the style of the house, but then how are we going to find the comps then?
Well, let's walk you through this. Let's take them through like they're actually going to get a property. So let's say comp a property. Let's say you've got a property that you want to comp right now. So you've done what we said first. You've gone on Google and you've looked at what the property, either if you don't have pictures, you looked at what the property looks like and what the street looks like. Second thing you're going to start doing is comparing that. And instead of doing what a lot of people do, they just do the overhead view and look at the different dots and look at the prices of those dots and saying, okay, here's the top 3. I'm going to average out these 3. This is what my house is worth. Now you're able to fine tune and just pick the dots, the properties that look and feel like your property, and they're within that area. You zoom out on that map and you look for major crossroads, interstates, bodies of water, just things that would separate, this neighborhood from another neighborhood. Because you could have two really nice neighborhoods literally right next to each other, where some are selling for 200, 250, others are selling for 350, 400. And properties can look very similar, but if you cross that line and you put together all your data, like it's worth these $300,000-$400,000 homes, and you market this house, and everyone's like, no, this is south of 10th Street. What are you talking about? All these properties you showed me, these are north. They're not even similar, and they're not even the same neighborhood.
So, Mike, why don't we do this? Why don't we hop in? You've touched on something really important here that's going to save people literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. And why do I say that from a savings standpoint? Because it could save you from getting involved with a deal that's going to cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars. You might buy this property as a fix and flip, and you don't realize certain numbers. That could be millions of dollars that this could save you on. How big is it to really stay within like a block, within a certain radius of the subject property? Because here we've got an area called Broad Ripple. Broad Ripple is filled with, these older homes. They're really great. People do these properties up and they make them look really great. But if you just go just a little bit away from that area, you start to go from, $300,000 to $500,000 homes to $30,000 homes. So it could be really crazy. Somebody could be like, oh man, I'm getting a really great deal on this property at $30,000. I'm going to put $60,000 into it. Next thing you know, you're holding on to this property for 2 years, and you end up letting it go to the bank because you're like, nobody's going to buy this property. I put way too much money into this property. So how important is that, Mike?
I think you just outlined how important it is, if not just for your own good, if you're rehabbing the property yourself, but so you don't look stupid when you're getting properties under contract that you have no business getting under contract, or that you're just putting too much money, offering way too much money on. But then second, when you do that, and then you send it out to your list of buyers that you work so hard to put together, and they get this email and they're like, no.
That's a gigantic credibility loser right there. And again, that could be potentially tens of thousands of dollars that you're going to lose from future business with your cash buyers, because you send off this deal that's basically not a deal.
Quote, deal.
Yeah, we get so many of those sent to us where it's like, oh yeah, this is a great deal, and the ARV is this, and the cost of repairs is this. And it's like, where did you come up with those figures? And that leads me to the next part here. So this is step 3, and that is being able to figure out what's the cost going to be to fix up this property. Because you need to know that, right? Like if, Mike and I could go in, eyeball property, and we're going to have generally rough estimates of what it's going to be. So a site you could use is called Blue Hammer. You can use Blue Hammer to check that out. If you want, this is what I would recommend. This is what I did when I was first getting started. I just had a contract go with me, walk the property. I explained what I wanted to do. And what I did is 2 things here. I paid them for their time to come out, give me some advice. And then 2, I said, hey, if you could give me a deal on being able to do this for me when I get properties like this, I'm going to refer your information over to my buyer so that they can choose to work with you or not. And that would typically help out. It would cost anywhere between $50 to $100 to have a general contractor come walk the property with me, because I'm not a handy type guy. Mike knows that. He knows I'm not a handy guy, and it really just makes sense for a GC to come and walk the property with us. But now what we do is we typically have somebody walk the property, let us know what the costs are. So Mike, how important is that for knowing your budget? Like, you need to know the budget from a wholesaling standpoint. You need to especially know the budget if you're going to be rehabbing it. And also too, there's a difference in, am I going to rent this property? Am I going to fix and flip it? Because there's a huge difference in the cost there.
Yeah. You know what? I'll give you a couple reasons why that's so important. One is a real life example of one that I've seen where a gentleman got a property, purchased it they were going to do the rehab. And it's in one of those areas that he's talking about, the Broad Ripple area, where the property is probably worth $300,000, maybe more. It is a nice house. However, the rehab costs on it are drastically off. It's probably $80,000 to $100,000 to turn this house into one of those. Whereas everyone else is saying, oh, $20,000, $40,000 in rehab. And it's like, it's double that. So this particular person now owns that property and has to fix it and sell it and try and get their money back for it. And they got it for a price that, probably doesn't quite fit with the rehab costs. Second thing is I get sent emails. I'm sure everybody gets sent emails. Everybody that's on this subscribes to other people's lists, and they send properties, and I'll take a look. And I've gotten on the phone with a few, and I've looked at the pictures, and I'm like, no, this property, the ARV is spot on, but it needs double, if not, maybe a little more.
Right. And, when you're doing your comps too, a big important factor here is, I wanted to circle back to this because I know it's important. Not all percentages for like ARVs, everybody's all over the place. Everybody wants to tell you 65% or 70%. That couldn't be further from the truth. Sometimes you could be at 60%. Sometimes you could be at 80%. It just is going to be dependent on your area. And it's also going to warrant like interest level as well. So if there's a higher interest, and if you want to get that property at 80% ARV, you might have to go up to those certain numbers. So don't be afraid to break out of the norm of what everybody else on YouTube land is telling you to do. In addition to, quick tip here, if you want to gain access to the MLS and you're not a licensed real estate agent, you could become a non-licensed sales assistant to maybe an agent that a friend, and you could gain access to the MLS that way. That way you could have access to doing comparable sales. We have done a Zillow training for those of you that aren't licensed so that you can run comps. So step 4 in this particular case then, Mike, would be once you get this property under contract, okay, at this point you're ready to get it under contract. It's important to have language in there that if there's any defects with title that you could get out, because we've seen this happen before. There's been municipality liens, federal tax liens, state tax liens on these properties, and you can't negotiate those. You just can't. But there's judgments, mechanics liens. There could be other types of judgments that could be placed against the property on top of mortgages. So how important is it to know that? Because if something pops up on there, and you've got a $15,000 fee in there, and your $15,000 fee for wholesaling is caught up by a judgment, what do you do now?
I've heard horror stories from people that have had properties quit claim to them that had huge liens on the property that they got stuck with. So it's a huge deal.
Yeah, because you never know. Somebody could have gotten into credit card trouble, and next thing you know, their Discover card is a lien against the property for $20,000. Now, I will tell you this. This is something that I've learned personally, is that you can negotiate like credit cards. You can negotiate a lot of things. The things that you can't really negotiate is what I just said. The municipality liens, federal and state tax liens, those are really non-negotiable. But you can negotiate the other stuff, and you'll be able to, like credit cards, you could typically get for anywhere between 18 to 21 cents on the dollar of what's owed. So I wouldn't say like you'd scrap that deal because you're not going to make your 15K or 20K or whatever it is. Negotiate that stuff. And you can easily do that by getting a borrower's authorization to go ahead and speak on the behalf of the owner of record. So you could get that debt negotiated.
And here's the thing. It's not a secret to them. You don't rack up $20,000 in debt and not know about it. So even when you're offering to help this person, okay, just always take that approach. We do with our tax strategy. We always take the advocacy approach. And then Jason always says some will, some won't. Who cares? When you just approach the person and say, hey, you know what, we could potentially help with maybe negotiating some of these balances down for you. Obviously we can't do that with everyone, but we do know what needs to be said. We've talked to these individuals a lot. So it might be able to something we can help do. And just make that offer to them. If they say no, okay, whatever, And
yeah, like you were saying, dude, it's important to know the right things. You need to know exactly what to say to these folks so that you could get that debt negotiated down for literally pennies on the dollar. And step 5 here, really important thing, this is at the part to where you're getting ready to close. There could be a lot of different things that pop up on your closing settlement statement. So let's talk about that, Mike. How important is it to review your closing settlement statement? What if they're putting things on there and you're not aware of certain fees? That could really, That could cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
It seems like every time I've looked at a closing statement, there's always been some number that's been off.
Yeah.
It's not always a big deal. Some $90 here, $100 there, maybe $1,200, but it seems like there's always something. So it's like every time you read or review a statement, you should look for the number that's off. Like if you don't see one, that means you probably didn't read it right.
Yeah. And you should get upfront numbers from your title company. Just be like, hey, what's going to be your general cost for closing a deal? And they'll give you like a general number, because it is going to vary on certain line items due to the price of what you're going to be purchasing the home for. So that is going to vary. But other than that, those 5 steps that's going to help separate you and help you determine if you have a deal or not, because that's one of the most important things. And you need to be able to know exactly what to say, how to navigate these things. And we'd love to help you. Let's set up a call. Let's talk about it. And you could get everything that you need from having a simple phone call with us. Head on over to myblueprintcall.com. We've got tons of testimonials over there from what other people have said from doing that call. It doesn't cost you anything. We just want to talk to you and about your business and see how we can help. If the least thing that you get away from that phone call is 2 or 3 golden nuggets that have literally taken you out of quicksand, and now you at least know and have a plan for moving forward, we'd love to chat with you about that.
Well, and I'll say it like this. You guys take time out of your day to watch us on our YouTube channel. We appreciate it. We try to put out the best of the best of the best. I've talked to several individuals already. Have already scheduled their calls, and they've gotten some valuable insights, but most of it's been appreciative of the stuff we've been talking about. And then we dive deeper into what you guys are doing in your business. Again, you're here you're learning about us, and this is kind of our opportunity to learn a little bit about you, connect with you a little bit more. And it helps us in the back end to create more of these amazing videos that we put out to you guys. So absolutely, myblueprintcall.com, schedule it up. And like I said, you'll go to the page. There's tons of people talking about what we've done for them. There'll be a link for you to schedule a call. One of us will give you a call. It's that simple.
Super simple. That's what we absolutely love in this business. And if you're not a subscriber, make sure you become a subscriber. Give us a big thumbs up on this video. Would love to have you as a subscriber. If you're not already one, make sure you click on that notification bell. And if we get 50 likes and 50 thumbs up, we're going to go ahead and give you the checklist from today's video. So that's really important. That's a critical item. We'll go ahead and give you the checklist. It's a big surprise for Mike, right, Mike?
Always is. Always is.
So let's have some fun with this. Let's get up to 50 comments, 50 likes. We'll go ahead and share that checklist with you. Some of the videos recently haven't been getting those numbers, so we haven't been able to share those downloads. So if you really want to get that information, share it with your friends on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it wherever you can, so that we can get the 50 likes, 50 comments, and you can get that checklist.
Can I put this in there? I will say that since Jason's been doing these reveals and talking about the tools that we've been we're going to give away, we've been starting putting those things in place. Okay, the wheels have been spinning in the back end. So as soon as we get those numbers, we drop a link, you guys sign up, and boom, that's in your inbox like minutes. So yeah, as soon as we're just waiting on those numbers.
Yeah, no, for sure. Go ahead and make sure you do that. If you enjoyed this video, thanks for being here. Make sure you become a subscriber, give us a thumbs up, drop a comment below. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye now.